G'day guys, how are you? As I said last week on our last video, that we would be having something special for you today. And we're at a little country town called Horsham in Victoria, because COVID-19, we've now been released to be able to go to the country in Australia, so we can go only to our own state. But Victoria's a pretty big place. You can travel for 8 hours in one direction for overseas people, and still be in your own state. So just like, I guess, other places, but Europe, I know it changes fairly quickly. So here we are today. Now, as you can see behind me, the sign there, it's Horsham, and if you kept on going you'd end up in Adelaide. And what we're doing today is we're coming down to this town to pick up another motorbike. This bike is for Mark, not for me, but it is a really, I guess, iconic or special motorcycle in as much that I think, other than the H2, it's still the fastest motorcycle in the world. And the H2, it's only the race prep one I think is quicker, not so much the road going version. And what we're picking up is a Zx 14, one of the big girls. And we will get into it soon and show you. So how are we feeling, Mark? Pretty excited?
Very excited, thank you.
I'm pretty excited. This morning when I woke up, I looked in my bag and there was a packet of money in there. I thought, shit up. And then I realised that it's probably Mark's. It's not rain again, is it?
A little bit.
We had a little bit of rain earlier. It is. And the droplets up in this place,
Huge.
they're as big as golf balls. Not to worry.
So I am going to concentrate on not buying another bike.
For 6 months?
At least, but
Yeah.
closer to home.
Closer to home.
Yeah.
Well, then we don't get to stay in swanky motels.
No, we don't.
Mind you, this isn't actually a swanky motel, but
Hey, it's got a bed and a shower and a TV.
it's comfy.
Correct.
How are we going for time? Haven't looked.
Lucas is hungry as usual, so 7:15.
I've got plenty of time. We're not due till 8:30 at his house.
8:30.
Yeah. All right, hi guys. We've picked up Mark's picked up his new bike, and guess who gets to ride it for the first time? Yeah, that's right. Captain Good Looking, with his leather on. I've been wearing this for 3 days. My wife wouldn't let me take it off. I'll have to cut that out.
For the first time in 10 years he can fit into it.
Yeah, I have. I told you I've been losing weight, and I have. Anyway, so here's the lucky man. He's all smiles now.
Very much.
So we emptied his bank account, and we got this. What a great looking machine. It's got heaps of extras, and once we get home and we sort it out today, we'll go through and tell you what it come with. But it come with a stack of stuff, which was really cool. What was the gentleman's name? Glenn? So Glenn was he was a top guy, and he was selling it because he'd hurt his back. So unfortunately for him, but fortunate for Mark. And we'll go, as I said, we'll go through when we get back, and we'll tell you all the stuff about it, what it's got, and all the extras. It's got bags with it and all sorts of stuff, you know. So anyway,
Sometimes 800 bucks.
we will we'll catch you down the road. We'll obviously do some filming on the way home. We're trying to see who can do the biggest wheelie and the longest one. So I've done about 1 metre. I reckon I'm in the lead so far.
You're the only one that's
Because I'm the only one who's ridden it. Alright guys, we'll catch you down the road and we'll see how we're going then. Alright, bye for now.
How do you make a 52-year-old man act like a 6-year-old? Did that come on? Yeah. He's like a little boy.
Hey guys, so we're on the road on the big beautiful ZX14. I took first ride because I figured that I'll probably wear her out quick enough. So we've when we started off, it wasn't really great weather. It was a little bit showery, off and on, off and on. So we're now in we're just going through Ararat, another country town in Victoria. And I didn't film the first part because I was more concentrating on the road. It's used by a lot of trucks, so it's quite slippery. And it was just enough rain to make it greasy, but not enough to really wash the crap off the road. So being that it's a new bike, and this bike has a brand spanking new, still with the little nipply bits on it, front wheel, front tyre. So that in itself is enough to say, well, be a bit careful for the first, 150 k's, 200 k's, just to get that front tyre bedded in. And I have been doing quite a bit of, which I didn't want to film either, I've been doing quite a bit of swerving, just doing from side to side, just getting that tyre scrubbed in. It should be right now, and the weather's starting to come good now because it's supposed to be 33 in Melbourne today, and it was probably, this hasn't got a thermometer on it, but it was probably 15 degrees in Horsham, and it is slowly getting warmer now. It's really, really, really pleasant to ride in right now, and I've got full leathers on, like my full race gear leathers, so it is still very, very pleasant. So anyway, to the bike, the gentleman Glenn that owned this bike, he was not afraid to throw stuff at it. So anything that was worth putting on this bike, he put on it. And we didn't know until we got to his house and started talking to him, but he was a welder. And all the back, just get past there, all the back pack rack and stuff on this bike was all made by him, and he was a good welder because he's done a really, really nice job. So there's the rack on the back of this, the side racks where the panniers hang on, is all custom made, and then he had them powder coated, so he done it all properly. Really, really nice job. This has got an aftermarket screen on it, so hopefully you can see all this at the moment. I'm not sure which way the camera's angled, but it's got an aftermarket screen, which is really, I've seen them before, never ridden a bike with one on, and they really work. There's not much air pressure hitting me in the chest, it's all sort of going over the helmet, so that's really, really good. Being that I've got the GDR 1400, this bike, I always wondered, that was a big hole, I always wondered how much of a difference the two bikes would be, and this is pretty much what I thought it would be. The lowdown power isn't too much different, but once you get sort of probably about above 6 or 7, this thing just keeps on accelerating at the same rate that it does from 1,000 revs to 6,000. It just keeps on going. So, and the other thing was, it is like a hypersport bike, so you're more in the crouch position, but I must admit it's quite comfortable. I've been on it now probably a bit over an hour, and it's really no different to being on my Blackbird or even on the GDR 1400. Really, it's quite a nice, comfortable ride. I was just watching what was going on in front of me then for a sec. So I'm pleasantly surprised. This has got the Olin's rear end in it, suspension, which is very, very adaptable. You can change it to whatever you need.
Probably one of the differences I've noticed that at low revs, if you get on the throttle quite hard, it'll bring the front up pretty quick. We're just coming into a bit of roadworks, but after that I'll get a bit of fresh air around us. I've got it slowed right down here. So this was a big Aborigine camp just here, and last time we come up here they were all here, but this time now it's full of workmen. And I noticed last night when we come through, see they've got people camped out sitting, so they've got like guards just sitting everywhere on the corners. See them on the corners? Isn't that weird? Why would we want to do that? Anyway, we have. So alright, so we're back in the 100 zone. We'll clear this car in a minute. So I'm going to hop off at probably Ballarat, around Ballarat way. I know there's a servo somewhere up the road here that we often pull into. It's on the top of a hill. Here we go. So yeah, so I guess what we're doing now is my first impressions of this bike is that it is a long range cruiser that packs a punch, and because a lot of it, the dash is not exactly the same, but it's very familiar to me, so I feel quite comfortable when I look down. I understand what's going on. You know, quite quickly, where some bikes take a little while to get used to the dash layout. The handling on this bike is, it's, you know, you're on a big bike, but at the same time, it's very responsive. And I mean, personally, I like a big bike because I'm a big guy. So I'm quite happy to chuck a big bike around. It's good fun to chuck the lighter stuff around. Like, as you know, we have a Z1000. That's a lot lighter bike to chuck around than what these are. But these will make up for it in other ways. Yeah, and I just like the feel of a big strong bike under me. Especially when you've been riding it for a fair while. And you know, if you're on a windy day or whatever, they just stand up straight for you. They don't get sort of knocked around as much. Couple of boys on the Harleys going for a big cruise. So yeah, it's I guess you say it's a bit like one of those classic stories where you say, is your hero meet its, you know, does it meet what you think it's going to be? And I would have to say on this bike, probably 98% of it does. You always, if you go through and you can watch tons and tons of YouTube shows on doing reviews on this bike, and they say that the power is, you know, mesmerizing, and I guess it is if you've come off a 600. But when you've come off something like the bikes I ride, the birds and all the stuff, it's certainly a really powerful bike, and it's beautiful to ride. But I guess you would say it's smooth, controllable power. You know, at 100 kilometers an hour and you wind the throttle on, it doesn't feel a lot different to a Blackbird as far as the power delivery. But like we were talking, we had a little stop just before, and I was saying that probably from, you know, 200 to 300, that's when this bike would come on. The way that the front end's set up, it's got the ram air system in the front, so the harder you ride it, the more power it makes. But you know, honestly, we never reach those speeds. I'll probably, you know, even if you put this on a racetrack, I'd be lucky to go past 260, 280, I reckon, because you never get a racetrack that's 20k long, and you can settle into that speed. I don't know where the boys are gone. They were behind me, now they seem to be back a bit. The only thing I would say, there's probably a couple of little things. This bike's had the pegs lowered, which is really awesome. It's had, I think he said it's had the handlebars raised slightly, which is also probably why I think it's very comfortable to sit on. It does have another seat with it, but I've got the factory seat on at the moment. The only thing that I can sort of say is that the foot pegs at the moment are standard style foot pegs, and they could probably, where the GTR ones are rubber, and you would, I can just feel where they're sitting on my feet, the balls, like the arch of my foot. So I'm just cruising. It's a little bit more, I guess it's a little bit achy pressure, because you're sitting for so long in that position, where the GTR has the rubber ones, and it does make a difference, because I don't usually notice my arch of my feet getting sore. So that's really my only, it's not a complaint, but it's just that's what I've noticed. And I can probably, like, I can move my feet around like I just did then. I can put my heels on the pegs, let my feet hang down a bit, or I can put my balls on the pegs, my balls and my feet on the pegs, and take the weight off the arches, so you can move them around, is what I'm saying. All you guys that ride long distances, you would know that you sort of get into a rut. You just sit there on the bike and you just start to, you know, lock yourself in and you just cruise. I'm just looking back and I can't see the boys, so I'm doing 101. I might roll off for a second. They won't be far away. So yes, overall I'm really happy with the way it rides, and I'm really happy. I mean, I've always thought they're the drop dead sexy gorgeous bike to look at, and I still think that. And then after riding it, I still think, yeah, you know, like to ride one of these for any distance, or even going out for a couple of hours for a coffee or whatever, they are beautiful. And the guy that owned this plane, he was a lot lighter than me, so I got on it this morning and I put a couple of clicks in on the front. I stiffened up the dampening a bit on the front, and I put a couple of clicks in the rear. I didn't want to go mad with it because I really need to you know, do it properly. We put the and Mark's going to ride it most of the time, not me. We put the zip tie around the front shocker, and then we go for a ride and we check them and we do all that and we make adjustments. So we're not at that stage yet. We're just going to ride it home quietly, and then we'll start to go over everything and make adjustments. probably, and as I said, more to suit Mark than to suit me. But what I'll do is we'll spend half a day doing adjustments for me, and then we'll do adjustments for Mark, and then write them down. So if I'm going to spend a day on it, I can quickly come to it and go, right, I need to go, you know, 4 winds down on the front springs, and you know what I mean, and then I can then do that in a couple of minutes, knowing that that's where I need to be for this bike. And then when I get back, I can just wind it all back for Mark, and we're good to go again. So we'll end up doing that. Alright, well, I've been yabbering on for a bit now, so I'll leave the thing going for a while, and then I'll just let you enjoy. Hopefully you've got because I haven't had a look, but hopefully you've got a good view of the road and the bike, the dash, and we'll keep on cruising, and we'll see you soon. Okay, alright Mark, you've now been the owner of a ZX14 for, I suppose, 3 days. Are you ready to hand it back, or you reckon it's a keeper?
No, it's definitely a keeper. The trip back from Horsham was very uneventful, as you and Lucas would know. You rode it back.
Yep.
It's a good thing about having 2 really good mates. They ride your bike before you do. But it handled that very easily, and then Wayne and I went for a squirt up the back of Pakenham, up through Gembrook, Cockatoo, and the bike really handled the hills and twisties very well. Probably better than I did on one bend.
Well, we won't mention that.
We won't mention that, but insanely powerful, yet it handles really smoothly. I'm just going to have to get a little bit used to getting on the throttle a bit more gently coming out of bends, because it simply smokes out the back tyre. It does have 3 traction controls. I was on 1, which means just a little bit of traction control, and I was still spinning the back wheel in a straight line and coming out of bends, so I just have to learn to be a little bit more gentle on the throttle.
Being that you've ridden my GDR, Mark, which is a 1400 in itself, obviously not as souped up as this one, would you say it's a huge difference, or it's just like the next level but manageable? Being that also this isn't your only powerful bike, you've got the Blackbird 1100, which in its own right is a super powerful bike.
Okay, the GDR first. It's not as luxurious as the GTR. Having said that, for basically an overgrown superbike, it's very comfortable, as you found out when you rode it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really comfy.
I'd say it's a little bit punchier than the GDR 1400. Not a lot, but very similar bike, just basically a different design. This is more of a sport bike compared to yours is more of a touring bike. You don't always ride it like that, but it's probably a little bit punchier, not a lot, and the speeds that you would have to get to define that like well over 180, 200. So
Yeah, we haven't taken, like I haven't ridden this bike fast, but I'm guessing that, like I said to you, that it goes from 0 to 100, and then I'm pretty sure it will go from 100 to 200 at the same rate, and then probably from 200 to about 250 without it slowing down on the speedo.
yeah,
So, and that's different to the GDR. Well, the GDR it'll wind up to 200 pretty rapidly, but then it starts to back off a bit. And I guess that a lot of that's related to this massive big hole they've got stuffed in the front of it, which is what it is, and it's an air ram design. So the faster it goes, the more it wants to put air in.
compared to the Blackbird, mind you, is 2007, so it's probably 13 years old now. But the Blackbird feels punchier. You know, you open the throttle and it really sort of jerks forward, whereas this, you open the throttle and it's a lot smoother.
And I think, Mark, like I said to you, I think the technology that's gone into this bike from 2007 to this one has, they've smoothened out the fuel injection and the power supply, and they've just fine-tuned everything. And of course, it's 1400, so it's just got a bit more cubes, so it's got a bit more power under it.
Yeah, I mean, I can comfortably take this to 110 in first.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like you're on an R1. It just pulls very smoothly.
Yep.
But it just goes to 110 in first before you even think about banging it into second. I mean, you're on it, but it's ultra smooth.
So, I mean, my thinking is that if you're an older person, which we both are, we're over 50, but you still like that feeling of a fast sports bike, and like you said, the R1 is just a machine for young people.
Yeah, I mean, you and I ride an R1 for about 3 hours and then have to have coffee,
Yeah.
so...
And a Bex, and a lay down.
and an endone.
An endone. That's right. Well, this thing, I rode this, and on purpose I rode it for probably
2 hours.
2 hours straight without stopping it. And when I got off, I honestly, I tell you the honest truth, it's got steel pegs on it, or aluminium pegs, and they made my arches a little bit sore. They ached a little bit when I got off it, but and where the GDR doesn't, it's got rubber pegs, and I can honestly say that's the only thing that I can really say was different. The rest of it was as comfortable as comfortable, and it's sat on the road. It's not bouncy. It's not, it's the suspension on it. It's got we'll show you this. It's got the Öhlins rear end suspension in it, and I've got to say, it's fantastic. It's also got the very expensive and very well made Oshimura pipes. There's quite a few extras on this bike. It's also got GPS. It's got hand warmers as well. So, there's a lot of little extras on it. And there's little things that you don't notice when you look at it straight away. It's got a tank bag, which Mark said he's going to take off, but that's fair enough. What else has it got?
No shortage of mates who want to.
Yeah, that's right. It does have, obviously, the back rack. This rack here is custom made. It was made by the person who owned it, who was a welder, and he done a fantastic job. And
Bloody unbelievable.
It looks thin and weak, but it's not. It's very strong. He's done a really good job. So we didn't have the list here today, but we will certainly show you the list of extras that come with it. Like, it come with all the standard pipes. What else, Mark?
The suspension came out, the standard pipes.
It's had lowering pegs put on it. These have been raised.
Yeah, they'll probably come off for me, but when my big mate here wants to borrow my bike, and I can tell you he will, he'll probably put the lowering pegs back on. He'll probably put the handlebar risers back up.
Yeah, I found it, maybe, like if it's just a day trip or something, or we're not going too far, I probably won't worry about it. But if I was doing a long haul on it, all day long or something, or for a weekend, I may look at doing those things. The screen, this is an aftermarket screen.
That's a Puig, touring screen.
Yep, and it come with another 2 screens apart from this one, didn't it?
Screens.
I don't know if you can see it, but all the front end here has all got the see-through tape on it.
The vinyl wrap.
All the vinyl, like it's factory vinyl wrap. It's all been done on this bike. It was Glenn that owned it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Glenn that owned it. He really, really looked after it. You know, this is one of those bikes that if you find them, you go, wow, you know, how good has it been looked after? And it was a credit to him. And now Mark's going to do the same thing, keep it looked
Hasn't
after.
got a scratch on it.
Not a scratch on it.
2013.
It's a 2013 model, so that's, you know, pretty incredible. There's probably a few things Mark will change in it. You may upgrade them. I know you like the other levers.
I like the shorter ones.
The shorter ones, so you may do that.
If I was going on a long trip, which we do, but I'll take the tom-tom off because,
I've got one.
well, it'll go on your wife's bike.
Yeah.
But, you know, just for around the hills or around where we go locally, I'll take that off. But if we were to go to Brisbane, I'll put that back on.
Yeah, and to be honest, when we do a trip, I'm usually the navigator anyway, because
Correct.
I do all the pre-planning and where we're going to stop for fuel.
I don't care, I just ride.
And Mark just gets on and rides and says, you know, when do we have coffee?
Correct.
And that's about his limit of knowing where we're going.
But, yeah,
Oh, it also come with another seat,
came with 2 seats.
2 seats. I didn't realise that was there, a little baggy rack thing.
Yep.
Come with 2 seats.
Came with semi-hard gibby side panniers.
Yep,
And it came with a big gibby box.
yep.
So, you know, there's probably $2,000 worth of just luggage carrying.
Yeah, capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is set up, which is what you wanted. You wanted something that was sporty, but something that was
Yep.
set up to carry luggage,
Yep.
to go away on weekend trips or whatever.
Yeah, just to go, even to go away for a week like we did a couple of years back last year.
Yep.
It's, you know, it's an hour to bolt all this back on, put all your gear on it,
And then you're ready to rock
and
and
then
roll.
we're ready to go.
Yep.
And it's half hour to take it off and just put
Yep.
it in the shed.
We haven't told you yet how many Ks is on this
35.
bike. I'll just turn that off so you can see that, because that's really cool when it fires up. Have a look at the little headlight thing comes up on it. So that's cool. So there you are. Am I showing you that one? No. What have I got to do there? I've got to push that one. Oh, there it is.
Just gone 40.
40,108 kilometres. So for this type of bike,
In 7 years?
In
it's
7 years.
5,500 Ks a year.
yeah.
So it's
So
nothing.
it's done, you know, it hasn't been outridden, and this bike will go on to, I've heard of these doing 200 without even touching them. So there is a, was it a 40,000 K
Yeah, there's a 40,
shims? You'll
there's
look
a
at the shims.
45,000 K mandatory
Shim check.
shim check, yeah, which
Yeah.
is fine.
So
But yeah, like it's been nurtured like a baby for the last 7 years. And,
Yeah.
it's, you know, bugger all for a bike like this.
So I'm super happy for Mark, because I think he's got a fantastic machine, and we will endeavour to get out there and show you exactly a bit of road stuff and how it handles and things like that. We haven't set the suspension up obviously yet because we haven't had the time, but we will set the suspension up for Mark, and then what we'll do is write all those settings down. I've said this before, then I'll hop on it and then we'll reset the bike up so it handles for me, write all those settings down, then we'll probably put Lucas on it, my son, do the handling for him, put all those settings down, and then whoever rides it, it's usually one or three of us, we can just simply go to the bike, make the adjustments, and you're off and running. And you know, and then if you're on the road and you think, oh, it's a little bit light on the front today or something, you can make those fine adjustments on the road, but generally you'll be pretty right once you've got it set up for each person. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed getting a look at this new bike. It's a 2013, but it's new for us, and hopefully we will be out very soon showing you its full potential and what it can do, and it'll be mixed up against with other bikes. We want to do a ride with the GDR and this one together, so we can show you the two. All right, until then, we'll catch you later. Living with bikes.